I need to move the screen. Oh, I lost all
That's
my
good. No, no,
notes.
no. Just click on the PowerPoint and it's going to be there.
Click on the PowerPoint.
There it is.
Okay.
Just recenter it. Yeah. Okay, so people are joining in. Hello, everyone. We'll get started in 1 minute or so, just that more people start to join us. So, okay. Well, I think we have enough participants already. So welcome. So my name is Abigail Gonzalez, and I am the nutrition director at RPM Logix, and I'm also one of the dietitians who works here. So we are very happy to bring this webinar to you. Like you know from the invitation, it is going to be basing on healthy eating on a budget. And our presenter is Kelly. She's another one of our dietitians. And like you guys know, RPM Logix is partnered with your physicians, and we are here to provide different services to you. And our mission is to provide education, coaching, and then also to motivate everyone to live healthier lives. You are all members of our program. That's why you are here. And because you are a member of our program, that gives you access to the different resources. So to talking to a nurse, a registered dietitian, to diabetes educators. So if you would like to connect with any of our specialists, just let us know. You can send us an email to the email address where you got this invitation from, or you can speak to your care manager and let them know that you are interested in connecting with one of the dietitians or the diabetes educators, and we will be more than happy to assign you to one of our dietitians. So this webinar will run for about 30 minutes. And then after that time, after Kelly finishes with the presentation, you can ask questions. We will get through the questions after she finishes the presentation. But throughout the presentation, you can just click on the box that says Q&A at the bottom of the Zoom, kind of like the Zoom website. You can click on where it says Q&A, and then you can type your question. And then at the end, we will get through them and answer them. And also, we are recording this webinar. So if you feel like you would like to, I don't know, review some of the notes or kind of like watch it a little bit slower, kind of like pause or show it to someone else, you can absolutely ask for the link to one of our nurses or your dietitian, and we will be more than happy to provide that. We will probably have it available tomorrow. So I hope that you enjoy this webinar and that you learn a lot. Kelly, like I said, it's the dietitian who's going to be presenting. She's also a certified diabetes educator. She has been working with RPM Logix for a couple of months now, and she's connecting with a lot of her patients. She enjoys the time with her patients. She also has a recently new granddaughter who she loves to spend time with. And she's here. So Kelly, tell us a little bit more about yourself, and then we can get started on the presentation.
Okay. Well, first of all, from my accent, you'll note I'm not from y'all's area. I'm from Lubbock, Texas, which is northwest. I'm closer to New Mexico than I am to Dallas or Houston. I have a 1-year-old granddaughter who's the light of my life, and I'm looking forward to working with RPM. I've really enjoyed this experience so far. Today, we're talking about my plate on a budget. One of the first thing the doctors tell you is diet and exercise, diet and exercise. But eating healthy can be expensive. And I don't care what your station is in life, balance is everything. Balancing your home life with your work life and balancing your nutrition with your wallet. So we're hoping to help you make your wallet stretch a little bit further so you can eat healthy without it costing you everything. What's a healthy plate? Well, a healthy plate is one that's divided up into 3 sections. One half of the plate is going to be the non-starchy vegetables. We're talking green beans, carrots, cabbage, radishes, tomatoes, celery, lettuce. Those are all non-starchy vegetables. They're loaded with nutrients and they're loaded with fiber. So they want to be the star of the plate. On the other half of the plate, it's divided in half, and you have your protein: beef, pork, fish, chicken, eggs, cheese, peanut butter. You get it. And then the last portion of the plate is for your carbohydrates or your starches: bread, cereal, rice, pasta, beans, peas. You can add in a fruit, you can add in some dairy like milk or yogurt. Those also count as part of that. But your plate needs to be balanced. You need most of it to be the non-starchy veggies, and then your starches, your carbs, and lastly the meat. I think the most expensive thing on that plate right now is the protein. I was kind of surprised at the cost of meat in y'all's area. There's some less expensive proteins out there. Natural peanut butter. I prefer that because it has less added sugar. And I really don't need sweet peanut butter. I'm okay with just peanuts crushed. So I go with the natural usually. Eggs. Now, this is debatable because the price of eggs has gone up a lot, but they're a less expensive protein and can be expanded in a lot of different ways. Deviled eggs, egg salads, egg dishes like quiche Lorraine or frittatas, things like that. I found a use for canned chicken the other day. It kind of blew me away. We had a can on the counter and on the pantry. I'm sorry, on the pantry, and the kids wanted something quick and easy. I had some tortillas, so I drained the canned chicken. I added some fajita seasoning, heated it up, and I made quesadillas with it, and they were really good. It was inexpensive. It was tasty. So get creative. Of course, there's things like adding a little bit of vanilla into plain Greek non-fat yogurt and then adding some fruit of choice. So I need you to kind of think outside the box, not what you would normally do. There's cottage cheese and lentils and beans. You and I both know there's a lot of things you can do with beans. There's canned tuna or salmon, ground turkey and chicken. Like I said, I'm from Texas, and ground chicken or turkey is not really what we eat a lot of where I'm from. But I became a dietitian and I branched out and I made the best lettuce wraps the other day with ground chicken. The kids loved it. And I say kids, my daughter and son-in-law loved it. So don't be hesitant to try a new protein if it's less expensive. And for those of you that say, oh, it's too hot, I'm not hungry, try cottage cheese with fruit. It's a light, refreshing meal. It's got protein, it's got carb, it's got fat. So give that a try. Don't be scared to reach out and try something different. Some tips to save money on protein. Here in Lubbock, we have, I think, 6 major grocery chains. It's a college town, so they're competing with each other for those college money, that college money. So I will shop the sales, and if this grocery has this on sale, then I'll make it a point to swing by there and grab that. I went shopping in New Jersey online at the Walmart, and I discovered that the cut of meat is going to be a huge difference. I priced a T-bone steak at $16.73 a pound, where the sirloin was only $10.44 a pound. That's a big difference. Now they do have sales, and if you want to grab it while it's on sale, do that. But look at the cut of the meat. A well-prepared sirloin is just as good as a T-bone. Look for the market for the marked down meat. I had a gentleman tell me that he and his bride of 48 years like to have date night, and they couldn't afford it. They were on a fixed income. So he would go and find where they put the meat on sale. They can only package it and display it for about 3 days, and then they either have to freeze it, sell it, or get rid of it. So he would buy it on that 4th day, take it home and freeze it. And when he and his bride wanted to have a date night, they would grab a steak out and he would cook it for. Some of the cheaper cuts of meat are things like chicken. I'm sorry, I'm saying too much, but chicken. I priced chicken legs, a 5-pound bag of chicken legs, and it was a big bag. A 5-pound bag of chicken legs was going for $1.29 a pound, but the little package with just the 5 drumsticks in it was going for $2.20 a pound. So if you have the freezer space, buy family size and then break it down into smaller packages. and put the date on it. That's very important. Put your date on there and throw it in the freezer. And then you can pull out what you need for how many you're cooking for. If I'm cooking for a bunch, I'll pull out a couple of packages. If I'm just cooking for me and the kids, I may just pull out one. Seafood. That's a big thing. We're always telling you, eat more fish, get those omegas in there, get that fat in there, good fat. So try and buy fish that's in season. Like anything else, when it's in season, it's in abundance. They are catching it, they are bagging it, they are selling it. And so it's a lot less expensive. So try and buy it in season. If you can't do that, try and buy it frozen. It doesn't change the texture, it just keeps it around longer. So buy it in season or buy it frozen. Try and pick something that tastes similar, but is not so expensive. One of the examples they gave was pick a flounder instead of halibut. It's a less expensive fish, and it'll make your budget go a little bit further. Canned protein, canned seafood, tuna, and salmon. As a kid, my mom used to make tuna salad. Now, it was just basic tuna salad with a little relish, some celery, onion, and tuna, and a little bit of mayonnaise. But when company came, she would dice up apples and chop up pecans and add it in there, and grapes, and she would add it into the tuna salad. So it was company tuna. We loved company tuna. We didn't get it that often, but we did enjoy it. Salmon patties, grew up on those. Everybody likes them. People have just gotten away from the more basic stuff, but the canned meat can stay on the shelf for a long time. So don't be scared of it. Just reach in there and use your imagination. Tips you can follow to save money on your next grocery run. Impulse buying is your demon. It's the little guy on your shoulder whispering in your ear, going, "Ooh, that looks good." It's not on our list, but it looks good. Ignore the guy on your shoulder. Stick to your list. Do not be an impulse buyer. It's very expensive, and it's not always advantageous to you. Clip coupons. That's always a cool deal. I was not that big a coupon clipper, but my daughter has become a new mom, so she is all about getting those coupons and using them. I joined Sam's Club because I wanted to buy things in bulk, and I wanted to make sure that it was getting a good price. So we have Sam's and we have Costco. And a friend of mine has a Costco membership, and I have a Sam's membership, and we get together once a month and we hit both places and get the best deals at both places. So join a wholesale club. Buy items on sale. Like I was telling you about that meat. It's not any worse meat than what's right next to it. It's just that they can't hold it out there that long. So go ahead and buy it if it's on sale. We were walking through and found a thing of formula for $25. Formula goes for $45 a can now. I had no idea. So we were able to save a lot of money just by getting it on sale. Avoid prepackaged foods. Here's the thing about that. I'm a little bit both ways. If it's just me, then it probably would be cost effective for me just to buy a little bag of salad, because I'm not going to eat that much salad all by myself. But if I'm cooking for the family, I'm going to get the stuff to make a salad because it's going to be a lot less expensive. So look at what you're cooking and who you're cooking for. And if it's just you, then you may want to look at prepackaged. But if it's not, you might want to go with prepping your own. Like I said, compare prices between stores. Shop alone. Now, that's a hard one. People get a little nervous about that. But the more people you have with you, the more impulse buying happens. I do not like to shop with my daughter because she has, "Ooh, let's get this and let's get that." And she generally can talk me into it. So I like to take a list and I like to stick with it. So if you can shop alone, shop during the quietest part of the day. if there is a crowd of people in there, you can't see and compare prices. And that's a big thing because they have a lot of sales going on and little things that you can pull to get little coupons you can pull to get a deal. But if you can't get to the aisle to look at the shelving and compare, then you're missing out on some deals. Don't go hungry. If you're hungry, everything looks fabulous. And we do not want you over shopping. So eat a little something before you go. I'm sorry if this is getting a little staggered here. This is my first time. I'm a little nervous, so bear with me. There is an app called Ibotta and Rakuten, and I'm get a family member that's tech friendly to show you how to use it. But when you buy it, you hit that, and it'll give you a discount, or it'll give you a rebate. So when you spend money, you're actually getting a little bit of money back. So look at those apps. We're in an age now where we need to be in tune with the new electronic devices and the new programs and apps. Clearance rack. I never thought that the clearance rack would be as much fun as it is. My daughter again taught me, let's go to the clearance rack, Mom. And there's cake mixes and there's breads and there's juices, and they put everything on clearance racks. So they're usually at the end of the aisle, but sometimes they have a whole aisle dedicated. Just ask an associate, where's your clearance stuff? And then try and shop that. Make a meal plan. For those of you that's been making meals for years, the hardest part is not the actual preparation of a meal. That's a fact. It's not the hardest part. The hardest part is deciding, what am I going to cook? I get so tired of saying, hey, I'll cook tonight. What do y'all want? And they'll say, oh, whatever. No. I want to know what I'm cooking, because then I can buy groceries for that meal. So make sure you have a meal plan. Make that list so that you have everything there that you need and you're not running out at the last minute. Half the battle's won once you make that meal plan in your grocery list. I'm told that a lot of places charge you for store bags. So if they're charging you for the cost of a bag at your store, then you might want to bring your own bags. We do here for a different reason. We're about 15 or 20 minutes away from the house. So I take cold bags to bag my meat and things in to keep them cold. Our high today is 98. So I want to keep it cold while I get to the house. But if they charge you for it, make sure you have your own bags. Name brands. Now, we have a grocery store called HEB in Texas. It's a big thing. It's the grocery store in Texas, so to speak. And they have a house brand of green beans. Now, Del Monte is a name brand. You can buy Del Monte anywhere in the country. But if you'll look at that picture, that's the same bowl, the same size. It's just two of the same bowls. I drained the green beans and I dumped them in that bowl. And you can look at the difference. Name brand products have to go by what they call specs, which means it has to be a certain length, it has to be a certain width, it has to be a certain cut at the end, a certain color. They're very picky about what goes in their can of green beans. And places like HEB or house brands, they say, okay, give us the leftovers. They're cooked the same. They're cooked the same. A lot of times you'll get a better product and more of it than you will with a name brand. So don't be scared to try a house product. Sometimes it's a winner chicken dinner, and sometimes I won't do that again. But it's usually less expensive, and it's good food. And I hate to see good food go to waste. It's summer and fruit is in season. Veggies are in season. Everybody's gardening and pulling stuff off. But when it's in season, the fruit is less expensive. That's a fact. So if I'm going to buy, let's say, blueberries, Now they're on sale. So I'm going to buy a bunch of blueberries because they're on sale. I'm going to lay them on a tray and I'm going to freeze them. And then I'm going to bag them in a baggie and throw it in there. So this winter, when my grandbaby wants blueberry pancakes, I can just grab a bag out and use them and not have to pay the winter prices. I included in here a link. I don't know if y'all can see my mouse move, but here's a couple of links. And this one was for New York specifically, seasonal food guide for the state of New York. And you can go there and you can see what's in season so that you're buying fruits and vegetables that are at their less expensive. There's all different ones in different times. You and I both know we can get apples and bananas any time of the year, but I can't get apricots or watermelon that are really good unless it's in the summer. So pick your season, pick your fruit. Don't buy it out of season. Watermelon in January is ridiculous. It's small, it doesn't taste as good, and it's expensive. So try and buy in season when you can. Produce with the longer shelf life. Enough said. You go home and 2 days later your strawberries are molded or your raspberries got fuzz. That's frustrating. So if you know you're going to use those berries right away, that's fine. Get them while they're on sale and do that. But if it's going to be extended time, then you might want to look at something that will hold over longer. Apples hold a long time. You can do things like carrots or celery over the leafy greens. You can make some great salads with those. But if you're not going to use it up quickly, then you might want to get something that's a little more stable, that'll stick with you longer. The cheapest ones year round are things like bananas, apples, oranges, broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, and sweet potatoes. They will stay in that fridge for a long time. You can make a variety of things with them. So make sure you try and get this stuff with a longer shelf life if it's just you or one other person eating. Now, who would have thought watermelon would have been cheap? But it is for the size of the melon and the amount you get from it. It's by far an expensive fruit, and it can go a long way. And we take ours and we bag it and freeze it so that we can have smoothies later on. My brother actually used to raise watermelons, and he would bring us the sweetest ones. He'd have it all cut up for us in freezer baggies and say, okay, throw this in the freezer. And then later on, when my mom would want a watermelon smoothie, I'd go in there and take that out and we'd use it. Cantaloupe is one of those fruits. It has to be in season, yes, but bang for the buck, it's a good one. It's got 100% of your vitamin C daily. 1 cup has 100% of the vitamin C recommended, and that's cantaloupe. It's hard to believe. It's got potassium, it's got vitamin A. So you really want to make sure that you're getting nutrition, and especially if it's inexpensive. And again, you can cut it up and freeze it and have it later on. It doesn't change the nutrients, so freezing it's okay. Pears are great. They have 6 grams of fiber per pear, and you want between 21 and 30 grams, 25 and 35 grams of fiber, depending on if you're a man or a woman. If someone at my age, it's between 21 and 30. But think about a pear. If I want 21 grams of fiber and 1 pear gives me 6, that's a big chunk out of the fiber I need for the day. And they taste good. Cheapest vegetables: pulses, potatoes, carrots, green cabbage, and cucumbers. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. Went to college back when I was 30 something, been doing this a minute, and I wasn't that familiar with the word pulses. I'm sure I've read it and heard it. We don't call them that. We call them beans, peas, lentils, legumes. We call them those things. So beans, peas, chickpeas, lentils, they're all called pulses. And you can make a big pot of beans and it'll go a long way. It offers fiber, it offers protein. A little half cup of beans has, again, 8 grams of fiber in a lot of them. So that's a good resource to add to the plate that's inexpensive and it goes a long way. I raised my children. I have a son that's 10 years older than my daughter, and they always brought their friends in. And a big thing down here is chili. So I'd make a big pot of chili, but then I'd have to add beans to it because the kids were eating me out of house and home and they liked it better. So think about adding beans in. Potatoes keep a long time. They're inexpensive and you can do 100 different things with them. Carrots, they're a non-starchy vegetable. You can cut them up and I do skillet, I do sauteed. You can add them to soups. You can add them to salads. Green cabbage, you can bake it, you can roast it, you can barbecue it, you can saute it, you can stir fry it. These things add a lot of flavor and nutrition, and they're inexpensive. And cucumbers, well, enough said. They're mostly water, so they're great for hydration at this time of year. So make sure that you're thinking about adding some of these less expensive vegetables to your menu. Frozen foods are just as good as fresh foods. They take the food, they blanch it, they freeze it. Now, when it comes to the problem, is because they've added sauces. This one has a garlic butter sauce, and this one has a cheese sauce. Just get a bag of plain old frozen vegetables or fruit. You can take out just enough that you want and use it for that meal, and the rest stays good in the freezer. So don't be shy about doing that. Grab you a bag of frozen vegetables or frozen fruit, get you some frozen fish. It's all good and it will work for you. Bulk bins, those are a big thing now. We didn't have that kind of thing in the small town I grew up in, but for people that like to add things like chia seeds or flax seeds to their meals, oftentimes you have to buy a large container and it goes bad. So did you really save any money? Not so much. So look at the bulk bins and see if they have things like rice, beans, stuff like that on sale, and it's less expensive. You can take popcorn kernels. The trick I learned was take a paper bag, throw some popcorn kernels in there, spray it with a little Pam, roll the end up, microwave it for 2 or 3 minutes until the popping starts, and then season it with your favorite seasoning. I use some stevia to make kettle corn. I've put cinnamon in there before. You have this it's a seasoning called Butter Buds. It's low in saturated fat. It's no saturated fat. It's low in sodium. So you can have your buttered popcorn and you don't have to pay for the packaging of those little individual packets. It's just a little bag. Where to shop in the store. This is a big, big, big thing. When you walk in a store, you go to the right or the left, and you're going to find whole foods. You're going to find your fruits and vegetables. You're going to find your meat. You're going to find your dairy. That's where it's all the most basic, unprocessed foods are there. That's where you want to save money doing it yourself. It's fine. Once you start going up and down those aisles, you're looking at cookies and crackers and processed meals and box meals. And in a pinch, those are fine, but you're a lot healthier and a lot cheaper if you stick to the outside of walls of the grocery store. Okay. Do you go into the store or do you not? I am an impulse buyer. I'm honest about this. I do most of my shopping on my iPad. I order from the grocery store. I drive up, they load it in my car, and I drive home. Because if I'm walking around the grocery store, I'm tempted. There's so many things. Oh, I've never seen that. I wonder how good that is. And I want to try it. So I end up going over my budget. So think before you go in. Are you the kind of person that is tempted, or can you stand true? Either way is fine, but just stick to your budget because that's going to help us out in the long run. Cook once and eat several times. I've already had that. I don't want to eat that again. Leftovers, the bane of everybody's existence a lot of times. So I want you to think about ways you can incorporate that leftover salad or the leftover rice or the leftover beans. You can add it to tacos. You can add it to um, things like pizza. You can add it to eggs. There's so many things that you can add these things to: soups, casseroles, make whole new meals out of them. So don't be hesitant to try and repurpose that food. You know, I take leftover pinto beans, I drain them and throw them in the blender, and I heat them in a cast iron skillet. I don't use oil. My cast iron's seasoned well enough, and I have refried beans. It's cheap, and I can something to use my beans for. I take the leftover pico de gallo that we have here. It's like a tomato pepper kind of thing. I chop it up and I add it to my eggs, and I make an omelet in the morning. So be adventuresome. Try some new things. The same goes with meat, with grains. You can make you can make rice frittatas, rice fritters. You can add them to things just like you can the other veggies. You can make a bowl out of it, you know, put the leftovers in a bowl and have that. They're a big seller right now out in the restaurants and stuff. Add them to soups to thicken things. The same goes with protein. Anything you can do with the vegetables and the grains, you can do with the proteins. You just got to kind of figure a way that you'll eat it. That's the thing. And sometimes it's going to fail. Don't feel bad. It's going to fail sometimes. But sometimes you're going to go, oh my goodness, I'll make this instead next time. It'll be that good. You can make a smoothie. You can add fruit to Greek yogurt. You can add it to hot cereals. A half a cup of oats is about a serving of carb, and 3/4 of a cup of blueberries. So you add those two, and basically you've got oatmeal covered blueberries that have a lot of taste, and a lot of fiber and a lot of nutrients, and it sticks to you. So think about adding some of those into your cereals. This is just an example. You could do an egg frittata with some toast and some fruit. Take your leftover pasta and make a salad out of it and put your salmon or chicken on top. Add the berries to as a topping to a frozen yogurt or a Greek yogurt. Make a salad out of stuff. That's always really, really helpful. And it makes it go a lot further, and you don't feel like you're eating the same thing 5 or 6 times. Okay, I'm hoping that I'm on point and on time here, but I want you to know that the one thing I've learned working for this company is that they're here to help you. We're your support system, and we want to do the best by you that we can. If you have suggestions, if you have questions, anything like that, feel free to reach out to us. We have nurses that are brilliant. We have dietitians that are really good, brilliant dietitians. I'm an old school dietitian, but a lot of them have master's degrees, and they're really smart and they're really friendly. And the main thing is we care. So call us with your questions, call us with problems. RPM's here for you. And I guess that concludes it, and I'll answer questions now.
Okay, well, thanks, Kelly, for that presentation. It went great. I really enjoyed it, and even wrote down a couple of tips myself that I learned about like those applications. The Ebota one I have tried, and yeah, it's pretty good because it saves you some money. And let's see the questions that we have. Well, everyone, remember to just add them to the comment box, to the Q&A if you have any specific questions. I think we have 2 so far, but the more questions we get, the more that we are going to learn and actually get out of the presentation. So the one that we have here is, well, what are some affordable protein sources? And I think you already kind of like went through it, but just like maybe someone who
Yeah,
joined a little
no,
bit
I'll even
later.
flip back up here in my little slideshow, and I'll leave that up for you a little bit longer. But I'm going to tell you a less expensive cut of meat. Like I said, a sirloin versus a T-bone is a better choice. It's less expensive. I take 80/20 ground beef. Now, I prefer 97/3, but if there's a sale on 80/20, I take that ground beef, I brown it, I put it in a colander, and I rinse it with hot water, and then I wipe out my skillet and add it back and then add my seasoning. So I took a less expensive cut of protein and made a less fatty meal. Of course, yogurt, beans, canned meats are great. Cottage cheese.
Yeah, and then I think another way to save that sometimes we don't think about is looking for or kind of like planning for portion control. When we actually look at the recommended portions of protein, it's between 3 to 4 ounces, and we usually eat 5, 6, or 8. So if you actually start to follow those recommendations and eat about the portion that is the size of the palm of your hand, then you will find out that you end up like maybe you bought, I don't know, like 32 ounces of chicken, and before it was lasting you for 4 days, and now it may last you for the whole week, just because
Yes.
you will kind of like portion it out. And
Excuse
actually,
me a
like Kelly
second.
was saying, freezing the meats that you kind of like buy, if you feel like you bought like a large portion because it was less expensive. And then also another thing that you can do for convenience is cooking it, like cooking your chicken breast like all in the oven, and then cutting them into portions, and then put them in Ziploc bags, and then you can just microwave it for another day when you don't feel like cooking. You can just kind of like thaw it or put it in the microwave, and then make salads, sandwiches, soups, like different things. So it's just about getting creative on how to use the meat or the protein as part of your meal, but only as one ingredient rather than the main course on your plate. Well, and there's another question. It's very interesting question. It's asking more for tips. It's saying, how can I involve my family in meal planning and cooking to save time and money?
Well, that's hard. I will tell you that when my kids were growing up, they had to be if mama was in the kitchen cooking, the kids had to be there. They were helping to dice the lettuce with a little plastic knife, or they were cutting the peppers and with a little plastic knife. And as they got older, they would be delegated, okay, you need to make a side. You figure out what you're going to do for a side. And you have to make the salad. Make sure you make it balanced and put a lot of good stuff in there. Including them in that really made a big difference, because my kids, they would eat almost anything if they cooked it. Well, they know it's good because they cooked it. So, getting them, sit them down. Hey, we're going to do, we had our meeting just last week. On Sunday, I sat down and I said, okay, what do y'all want? So we have meatloaf one night, and we have grilled pork chops one night, and we're having grilled chicken one night. So then everybody has to come up with the sides for that. So just sitting down and making it a dedicated time, because that's the hard part, getting everybody together at a dedicated time. So dedicate the time and pass out the assignments.
Yeah. And I think those are great recommendations. Like you're saying, Kelly, I think that's one of the things that really helps a lot, just to prevent food waste, and then also to feel like your week goes by easier in regard to the eating. Because if you actually plan a couple of options, you can say, well, let me plan 3 options for lunch, 3 options for dinner, 3 options for breakfast. And if you do that and write it down, be like, okay, for breakfast, I can have cottage cheese with berries and pumpkin seeds. And then for lunch, I can probably have a salad, and then maybe a piece of salmon with some, I don't know, like a piece of bread. And then maybe for dinner, we can have a veggie and egg omelette. We usually eat that for breakfast, but then my husband is big on eating eggs for dinner. So and I think it's very convenient, because sometimes if I don't have time to make eggs in the morning, then we will eat them for dinner, and it's pretty good, pretty satisfying. And you can make like, add a lot of veggies there, make like a veggie and egg quiche, and then have that for dinner, maybe with some avocado, a little bit of rice, a piece of bread, tortilla. We're Mexican, so we eat a lot of wraps or tortillas too. So that way you have a little bit of everything. But then actually kind of like planning a couple of dishes, and then doing it before you go shopping, just that okay, so if I'm making these options, do I have the ingredients? And then writing them down. Oh, okay, I said berries with cottage cheese. Let me make sure that I buy the cottage cheese. Or I said eggs with vegetables. Okay, I think that I'm going to be adding zucchini, tomatoes, and onions. Let me make sure that I have those. And that way you kind of like are going to be more prepared for the weekend. Yes, it may take like 20 minutes to plan those meals, but then it's like 20 minutes that are going to save you a lot of time later just staring at the fridge or just like nibbling before you plan because you're like, oh, I don't know what to eat and we haven't prepared anything. So that saves time, money, and then also a little bit of calories because you like if you know what you're eating, then you're more likely to kind of like go with that rather than be snacking when you're thinking about what to eat. Well, and there's no more questions, but I'm glad that we got to learn a lot with this presentation. Like I said, it's going to be available probably tomorrow. We're going to have the recording, so we can send you the link. You can ask your nurse or your dietitian to send it to you, and we will be more than happy to share that with you. Thank you so much for the information, Kelly. We really enjoyed it. Another thing that I want to say is we're going to have the same presentation at 7 p.m. So if you like to watch it live and you would like to come again at 7, you can use that same link and it's going to take you here at 7 p.m. So if you wanted to do that, you're also more than welcome to join again. Thanks everyone and have a wonderful day and hope to see you in our next webinar or later tonight if you decide to come. Bye-bye.
Bye.